everyone, and welcome to episode 9. This is January 11th, another Net Thursday, and I'm answering the question I get so many times from people, which is, how do I get rich? Of course, you have to pre-qualify of what your definition of rich is. To somebody, having $1 million might be rich. To another person, $10 million might be rich. And to another person, anything short of the billionaires club is not rich. So that's the first thing you need to set down is, what is your definition of rich? And then I usually tell people to divide that by 365 days for the year. If you want to attain that in 1 year, if you want to attain that in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, do the appropriate amount of days. And then that's kind of brings people down to the reality of, that's how much you have to be generating in income per day if you're wanting to be making that much in the year. So that's a fun little example. But for the people who do want to become their definition of rich, I have some suggestions. Now, let me say, I am not a financial planner. I am not an expert in anything. This is literally for education and entertainment purposes only. This is simply my opinion. And in my opinion, if you want to reach your definition of being rich, the first thing you have to do is you have to value money over comfort. This means if you have to make the choice, especially in the beginning, between having those cakes or those donuts or your cigarettes or your gambling, or buying some boring stock that is going to go up maybe 8% for the year, which one are you going to choose? Are you going to value money, or are you going to seek comfort? That's the very first thing that you have to do. Because I'm telling you right now, I see it all the time, unless somebody is literally, here you go, handing you money, you are not going to get money by staying in a comfort zone. Every, self-made or beginning to be self-made person I know, especially the beginning to be self-made people, they are not into the comforts. They can't afford the personal chef. They can't afford, all those fast cars and that kind of stuff. They don't have the groupies hanging out with them and giving them that ego boost that a lot of people are really trying for when they say they want to get rich. So you need to value money over comfort. Point number 2, you earn capital, but you invest your profit. So what do I mean by this? Anything that you're earning, whether you're providing a service, whether you're trading your time for money, whether you're selling items, that is you raising capital. And you need to look at it that way. That is you raising capital. You need to use that to get yourself into a position where that money is making more money, meaning your profit. Your profit is what you live off of. So if you can earn a living working a job, which is where most people start, maybe you can take that job money and turn it into starting your own business. Then from starting your own business, you can take that money and put it into, say, rental properties. Then from there, you take the rental properties and you put it into some dividend kings. And then you live off of the dividends from the kings after about however long it's take you to get there. Let's just say you get, within 5 years, you've really worked hard and you've put, let's say, a little over $1 million. And your dividends gives you about $40,000 for the year. Anybody who meets you would be like, wow, this person lives very frugally, lives very intentionally. You wouldn't have the funds to be going on these exotic, crazy cruises. However, if something were to happen at this point in time and you can't work the job or work the business, you've got the real estate to fall on and you've got the dividend kings to fall on. So you are completely, essentially, in my definition, rich. Because my definition of rich is something can happen so that I cannot physically make money, and yet I'm still able to support myself and my family. A lot of people call that passive income, residual income, whatever definition you want to use. That is my definition of rich, is that something can happen to me. I cannot physically, emotionally, mentally, or something beyond my control do the job, and yet I still can have money coming into my bank account and my bills can be paid. That's my definition of rich. Point number 3, if you really want to be rich, you got to stop clipping coupons, and you have to start thinking about Warren Buffett's advice of if you can buy $1 for 50 cents. Notice he says buy $1 for 50 cents, not spend 50 cents and get $1's worth. Those are two different mentalities. You need to start seeing that your ability to be a consumer, and it is an ability, if you can consume a bunch of products that make other people rich and clog up your house, then you could also consume investment portfolios. Whatever that mix is for you. Maybe it's hard money lending. Maybe you go ahead and partner with somebody who is running a used car business and they're doing really, really good with it, but they just, they need somebody on the back end who's going to help with marketing more. And you're great. Hey, I can sit at home and I can use some of my computer skills and I can never even go and see the cars, but I can make money with this person. Maybe that's your style. Maybe that's who you are. But I'm telling you now, you've got to switch from I'm trying to save money to I am buying and growing my money. Money is a consumer product, just like anybody else. We all know, money is not worth the paper and ink that's used to make it. No, it's not. If somebody were to come to you and say, hey, for this $1, you need to pay $50, you'd be like, no, it's $1. So I need you to really start understanding that money is literally just another tool. And if you're going to put all the effort into cutting back on your lifestyle and trying to find coupons and groups and that kind of stuff, you'll make an okay living. You'll save money, but you won't get rich. Saving $2 a day is not the same thing as having to make $22,223 every day, 365 a year. So I really need you to be able to switch that mentality. If you truly want to be rich, you have to understand it's about buying $1 for 50 cents. Point number 4 is that you have to be happy being boring. If in my example earlier I told you about years of work, you were in a job, then you owned a business, then you got into real estate, then you bought Dividend Kings, and only then did you live off of $40,000 for the year. If part of you cringed or was like, oh hell no, that's too much effort, you could prove me wrong, absolutely, this is just my opinion, but in my opinion, if you're not okay with long term and you're not okay with boring, then you're not going to last long term. Sure, there are the really, really, really extroverted people who are constantly like, I'm going to make money and I'm going to push forward, and maybe they do, yeah, but it's usually not consistent. How many people do we know who were professional athletes or lottery winners or CEOs of a company for a short time, made a bunch of money that any one of you out there would consider being rich, and yet they spent it all, they lost it all, you don't know even what their names are, they're looking for jobs right now. It's out there, it happens a lot. So just learn to be happy being boring. Look, an 8% return might sound super boring, but you know what? Going into crypto and getting a 2000x and then throwing it into the next project and it gets a rug pull and you lose every freaking penny, where was the long term? Yeah, that was really exciting. That's a really good story to keep telling people, but are you happy? No, you're broke. My next point is that you stop needing glory and start loving the routine. If you're going to be rich, it's not about the headlines, it's about the routine. You've got to get into a routine where you are knowing what you're eating, knowing what you're spending for the month, knowing what you're needing for holidays, and keeping it simple, keeping it streamlined. And then the routine of, okay, I'm going to put this aside to invest there, I'm going to put this aside to invest there, I'm going to put this aside to grow that. You've got to get into a continuous routine. Being sporadic doesn't help anything grow. Point number 6 is to create a money system and then let the system work for you. Oh my goodness, it is very frustrating when you meet somebody, whether as back when I was a nutritionist and personal fitness coach, or as I've progressed and I've started coaching more around financial mindset. I am not an accountant. I am not a financial professional. This is just my opinion of your money psychology. That's really what it is. I'm just trying to figure out what the psychology around your money values are, and it helps people a lot. But you create a system for them. They create the system. They say, this is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to be. This is how it's going to plan out. They love the planning part. For some reason, these types of people always love the planning part. It feels great to them. And then when it comes to the execution, they're off to the next thing. They don't let the system work for them. They know it'll succeed. They know it. And yet they go off and they waste their time and their money. And then they come back to me usually a couple years later and go, I don't know what happened. So I have to gently, sometimes not so gently, put it in their face and be like, you didn't follow your system. Why didn't you follow your system? That's the reason you're not rich. It's not the system. If you want to get rich, there are blueprints out there. There are absolute blueprints out there. But are you going to follow them? Are you going to let the system make you rich? And that means putting in the effort and the time and the decisions that it'll make to make you rich, or that it'll take to make you rich. Point number 7, if you're truly going to be rich, you have to learn history, banking, and psychology. If you're going to keep your money, you have to learn history, banking, and psychology. This is when people come to me and start trying to learn about money, I tell them, well, learn about money. Don't learn about, oh, this person got rich, this person got rich and this person got rich. People love to talk about their personal stories. And sometimes you can glean a lesson or two from it, but you're going to learn a hell of a lot more by the history of the markets, by the history of whatever you're trying to get into, by the history of the law of the country that you're in. You're going to learn a hell of a lot more by understanding how banking works. They truly are in need of your money. You're not in need of their money. They are in need of your money. You can exist without their money. They cannot exist without your money. You need to understand who has the real power and negotiating ability when it comes to banking. And psychology. Oh my goodness. FOMO, ego. There's so much that goes into it. Gold diggers. You've got to understand not only your psychology, but the psychology of people around you that you're going to attract when you have money, or, with movie stars, or even TV stars nowadays, or YouTube influencers. You get a lot of people who are like, man, people come up and talk to me, but I've now had blank level of success, and I'm paranoid that every single person coming up to talk to me is just wanting me for my money or wanting me for my fame. You got to understand the psychology behind that. Are you able to qualify the people you allow around you? Are you able to qualify the professionals you allow around you? This doesn't just go for like friendships and romantic relationships. This goes for business partnerships. There are people who, win the lottery or, start doing an athletic thing and making millions, and everybody flocks to them. Everybody's their best friend. Everybody has the best business opportunity ever. So you've got to learn the psychology behind the people who are going to come at you, and the psychology between the type of people you're going to select. You have to select people who are going to help you towards your goal. And if you don't have a goal yet, that's going to hurt you as well. So I'm going to leave you with the last point, which is just kind of pulling it all together, that staying rich, you stay rich by staying with your routine, whatever it is for you. If you know that your path is a certain way and you let people get dragged off, the example coming to mind is Grant Cardone, Uncle G. Yeah, definitely check out all of his stuff. He is awesome. And he talked about how he had millions. He had real estate. He had a big business. He was doing great. And then he got complacent and he let an investor come in and say, oh, you should do this and you should do that and you should do this. And he started doing it. And then the crash came and he almost lost everything. If you think it's hard getting rich, I promise you, it is extremely difficult losing your riches. Okay? So I just want you to really stop and think about the points I made today. What is your definition of rich? A lot of people who say, oh, I need to have a blank number. And I break it down what that reality is. And I'm like, that's $2,000 a day. Do you really need to spend $2,000 a day? And then people are like, oh, well, no, I mean, a lot of people would be super excited and thrilled if they made $400, $600, maybe $1,000, every single day of the month. that would be amazing to them. That would truly be riches. So get realistic about what rich is for you. Figure out your routine, figure out your money system, and stay consistent. And that's how you're going to stay rich, in my opinion. I know this one ran a little long, but I'm very passionate about this question because I get it so much. So I hope this helped you today. If you found value in it, please like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. And I really appreciate you watching to this point in the video because it super helps. You guys are amazing and awesome. I really appreciate how we're growing the channel. It's really exciting. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.